Welcome to The Hypnotist, the show that gives you inside access to cutting-edge hypnosis with real clients facing genuine issues. Brought to you by the hypnotherapist demanded by celebrities, CEOs, and even royalty, Adam Cox. These recordings took place live from Adam's clinic in London's world-famous Harley Street. This podcast features powerful hypnosis, so do not listen while driving or operating machinery. This recording is not suitable for those with epilepsy or severe mental health issues. So, get yourself comfortable and enjoy today's episode of The Hypnotist.
Hi, it's Adam here, and in this episode of The Hypnotist, you'll be listening to a hypnosis session that I did with a lady that was dealing with the stress and overwhelm of pursuing quite a high-level responsibility career path that put her out of her comfort zone, while simultaneously dealing with this imposter syndrome, this feeling of not being good enough, not being worthy to be there. And there can be a positive side of the imposter syndrome. The imposter syndrome is one end of a spectrum, which is the opposite end of something called the Dunning-Kruger effect. Dunning-Kruger is effectively where you have high levels of competency and low levels of competency. High levels of confidence and low levels of competency. So basically, the arrogant fool is kind of Dunning-Kruger. And then at the other end of this imposter syndrome, you've got this element of someone that is clearly capable, clearly very competent, yet doesn't believe they're quite good enough. I would say that it is better to have this feeling of I need to be better than to feel that you've got all the answers, because it keeps you sharp and it keeps you hungry to learn. The downside of that is that it can make you feel worthless and unworthy and like you're going to get found out at any moment, which can cause even more pressure, stress, and anxiety. What you're going to hear in this hypnosis session is a form of regression to go all the way back to where these feelings of low self-worth came from. Typically, that's childhood. Now, I'm not a big proponent of psychoanalysis or Freudian forms of psychotherapy, so I certainly don't believe that all issues are a result of some kind of painful moment in the past. But clearly, in this particular woman's case, she did have certain life events that took place in her childhood that affected her self-confidence and self-belief and feelings of worthiness. So we went back and we kind of resolved those in an empowering way. If you're listening to this, hopefully you'll find it useful, but it also may be the case that you can relate to some of the issues, but feel that this hypnosis session isn't quite right because it was created for someone else. And if that's the case, there is a link nearby where you can book a free 30-minute consultation call with me to explore what it would be like to work with me directly. But for now, find a quiet place where you won't be disturbed, relax, and enjoy the session. Take a deep breath in. And as you breathe in a resourceful feeling of relaxation. And as you exhale, just get a sense that tension or stress is leaving your body in your outward breath. As you continue to breathe in and breathe out, on the next outward breath, allow your eyelids to close. That's it. And in doing so, notice that you can give more of your attention to the sound of my voice. Continue to breathe in through the nose and out through the nose. Just getting a sense of scanning your body for any clues of tension. And the clues may be an expression on your face where that expression isn't needed now. Around the forehead, those muscles responsible for expressions like surprise or concern or worry aren't needed here. So allow those muscles in your forehead to just relax and release. Now, as you breathe in and breathe out, notice that if there's any tension around your jaw, it's fine to release that tension. Now, use the power of your imagination to imagine a bright, vibrant color that represents resourceful relaxation. As you breathe in, imagine that bright, vibrant color going in through your nose and filling your lungs with that resourceful relaxation. Imagine your heart can take that resourceful relaxation and, just like it does with oxygen, pump it to every cell in your body. When you breathe in, you're breathing in oxygen and you're exhaling carbon dioxide. And I want you to imagine what it would be like to breathe in that resourceful relaxation and exhale tension, stress, and anxiety. See it leaving your body like a darker color. Gray, black, shadows, just see it leaving your body in your outward breath, meaning that just by breathing in and breathing out, you're feeling more and more resourceful and relaxed. And as you exhale, just releasing more of that tension, stress, and anxiety with each and every breath. As your physical body relaxes, notice that your imagination is becoming more alert. I want you to get a sense that imagination is the portal between the conscious and the unconscious mind. And as your physical body relaxes, it makes sense that imagination becomes more vivid, more powerful. I want you to imagine that as your physical body relaxes, you can create an image just in your mind of a large bubble. But imagine this bubble is thick and can't pop. Imagine climbing into that bubble and you can see through the bubble everything around it. But from the outside you would be completely invisible inside the bubble. In fact, even the bubble itself would be invisible. Imagine this bubble can float upwards to the side, but also it can pass through walls, ceilings. It can go forwards, it can go backwards in time, and it can go to any location. And I want you to get a sense that right now, you have more knowledge than at any other point in your life. Right now, you have more wisdom through the experiences that you've had compared to any other point in your life. And therefore, if you're able to take that knowledge, that wisdom, that feeling of resourcefulness, you could go back in time and share your insight with a younger version of you that doesn't know what you now know. I want you to get a sense that you are more powerful, more knowledgeable, more competent than you realize. But sometimes we have to go back in time to realize that you didn't always have what you now have. Imagine climbing into that bubble, feeling the bubble float upwards. And imagine what it would feel like to start traveling back in time. I want you to imagine going all the way back to when you were a child at a particular school just before a game of netball. Maybe you can see yourself at that age, how you looked at that point in time. And I want you to imagine that you could freeze time for everyone but you and the childlike version of you. I want you to leave the bubble and take that childlike version of you to a place perhaps in that school or nearby where you can have a conversation with her. I want you to tell her that you believe in her. You know what her future looks like, and you know what kind of future it could have looked like. And that feeling of pride that you have in all the adversity that you've overcome, I want you to have an essence of that pride and just feel like you're projecting it into her. I want you to tell her that the strongest trees weather the fiercest storms, that a tough childhood means that she's going to be a strong woman. I want you to tell her a fact that life is not fair, never was, never will be. But the antidote to inequality and a lack of fairness is resourcefulness, is doing what you can with what you've got. I want you to tell her that you are her from the future and that you possess resources that she doesn't have yet. And I want you to think of the resources that you possess right now that would be most useful to a child of this age. Maybe it is that fighting spirit. Maybe it is that personal responsibility, not walking away from problems, but stepping up to them. Maybe it is that drive, that ambition to always want to better yourself, to learn more, to do more. Whatever you deem to be most useful for this child just before this netball game, I want you to imagine that you're passing it from you, almost like a glowing source of energy, and giving it to her. I want you to imagine that she takes it and places it perhaps around her heart, or maybe even in her head, and absorbs that resource. You now know that she's about to have a netball game with perhaps girls that have come from different backgrounds, different financial resources. And I want you to tell her what this really means. She might think at this age that those girls are simply better, but that would be an inaccurate representation of what's going on. I want you to tell her that there are physical resources and intrinsic resources, and money is a physical resource. And I want you to tell her that there are things much more valuable than money. Character, determination. I want you to give her a sense that you know what will happen in her life, and I want you to tell her that she has the resources to cope. And anything that is challenging or not easy, in a strange and unpredictable way, will either make her stronger or wiser. But tell her, under no circumstances should she believe that she is less than anyone else. I want you to tell her that she's just as capable, She's capable of learning anything that she's dedicated to learning. And if she accepts that advice, that wisdom, knowing that this may help her in her future, just let me know by nodding your head. I want you to give her a hug. Tell her that you love her and believe in her. And most of all, that she is worthy, she is important. And then climb back in your bubble. Unpause time. And then just watch that netball game from inside your invisible bubble. Notice the way that she looks at those girls wearing those more expensive embroidered uniforms. She doesn't look at them as better. She just looks at them as more privileged, but no more capable. And then see some of those qualities that you've given her in that game. She's not intimidated by anyone. See her being resourceful, full of drive and determination. And when you see that this gift that you've given her could have a ripple throughout her life, just let me know by nodding your head. Now it's time to move forwards in time, there from your bubble, knowing that you've created a slight angle change in the trajectory of this life. And now goes forwards in time. I want you to imagine you're going forwards in time to a time after you had shared some news that required courage. Maybe you see yourself as maybe 11, 12 years old. Maybe you can recall where you were living at that time, and maybe you can't, it doesn't matter. But just imagine that you're visiting a 12-year-old version of you, perhaps alone in her bedroom. And when you're confident that she's alone and won't be disturbed, just climb out of your bubble and see that face of joy. Maybe it's been 5-6 years since you saw that younger version of you, and she's pleased to see you. I want you to ask her how she's getting on. Maybe give her a hug. Tell her you're proud of her. Tell her that she's loved. Tell her that she's worthy. Tell her that she's capable of anything she sets her mind to. I want you to tell her that sometimes people make odd decisions for odd reasons, and that those reasons have more to do with the people that make the decisions than the people they're making the decisions about. And that if decisions are made in her future, she is not to perceive them in any way to make her feel less valuable, less worthy, less important. I want you to tell her that she is important, she is valuable, she is worthy, and that you have a glimpse of the magnificent things that she'll do in her future. Tell her she's destined for great things, beyond her wildest expectations. Tell her that confidence is not about status or privilege. Confidence is a reflection of competency and self-belief. Tell her that she can learn whatever she wants, knowledge or skills. But the self-belief you're going to give her, you're going to give her that self-belief because you are her from the future. And you know that time and time again, you exceeded what you thought you were capable of. In which case, doesn't that mean that you're incredibly capable? You're incredibly capable, but also capable of learning what you don't know. Willing to put yourself out of your comfort zone in order to learn new skills, new knowledge, new insight. That shows courage, which means that this 12-year-old girl is also capable of courage. It must be there because she is you and you are her. And I want you to, again, reach inside you and find your own memory of when you had 100% self-belief. That even if people were doubting you, you believed in your own abilities. Reach in and find that resourceful feeling. Pull it out like a glowing source of energy and then pass it to her. Notice she takes it, this 12-year-old girl, and places it inside her. So that the self-belief that you have as an adult, she now has as a 12-year-old. Remind her again that life isn't fair, but she has the resources to overcome unfairness. Some people are born rich. Some people might be born with more capacity for intelligence. Some people might be born with the right kind of connections to make an easier life. But equally, those people that take the harder road, that have less of that privilege and still find a way to succeed anyway, they're the most resourceful. They're the most accomplished, and they have the least anxiety. Because when people have success that's given to them, they have the anxiety that it will be taken away. When someone has created their own success, they're fearless because they trust their ability that no matter what happens, they can start again and be stronger for it. That self-belief is now her self-belief, in the same way that when one candle lights another candle, it doesn't take anything away from the first candle. The self-belief you have, she now has, and nothing has been reduced. And then I want you to imagine climbing back into your bubble and observing an interaction perhaps a few weeks or months later where someone that she was meant to be protected from is still around. But this time she looks at it through a different lens, a different perspective. The lens of, these decisions are not about me, even if they affect me. And life isn't fair, but it will fuel even more resourcefulness and determination. And if you can see a 12-year-old child coping with something in a different way to how she did in reality, let me know by nodding your head. That's right. Now let's go forward in the future to a time when you're at college. But I want you to imagine that you're observing yourself after yet another day of working in a call center, returning to perhaps work on a project. When you see yourself alone, perhaps working on that project, climb out of the bubble. Again, see the smile of your younger self. Give that younger version of you a hug. Tell her you're proud of her. And again, remind her that being privileged sometimes is as much of a curse as it is a blessing. Because quite often, people do what is necessary and those people that have never had to work so hard, never had to solve problems, never had to get out of debt, don't have the same appreciation of value, money, work ethic. Tell her that she might not realize it now, but the fact that she's working and other people are holidaying will give her an edge one day, will be an advantage one day. I want you to tell her that creativity comes from all different sources of inspiration. And that creativity doesn't need to come from white sandy beaches and coral reefs and exotic looking fish. Sometimes inspiration can come from office equipment, the shape of a keyboard, a flask. But I want you to give her perhaps a resource that she didn't have back then. A sprinkling of audacity. Being audacious, daring to own whatever your situation is, taking a weakness and making it a strength, taking shame and making it pride. That's a gift. That's a gift that you're going to give to her. Give her the advice. Tell her in advance that there will be people that have gone to exotic places doing works of art inspired by impressive things, but that's easy. It's easy to create beautiful things from beautiful stimulation. What's real creativity is creating art from the mundane. Tell her to take this project and be audacious with it, arrogant with it, have fun with it, and not for 1 second be embarrassed, not for 1 second be ashamed, because shame and embarrassment is like blood to sharks and piranhas. And in this strange game of art, fashion and creativity, isn't it better to own a reality than be ashamed of it? And as you give her this advice, this feeling of audacity, of undeserved confidence, because who says you have to earn confidence? Just take it. Give it to her. Because if confidence is a reflection of competency and self-belief, art is subjective and self-belief is determined by the self. Give her those resources and tell her that you believe in her. And tell her she doesn't need luck for this presentation she's going to do. Climb in your bubble and then be there watching it. Watching the presentation, watching the swagger as she presents in front of the room. Being able to create something inspiring, remarkable or interesting from the mundane means that she is the unique, the special one. I want you to see that audacity in the version of you at that age, not because that's what happened, but because by imagining it vividly creates a ripple throughout time so that you get to be more audacious in the present, to own perceived weaknesses. Flaws cannot be used to hurt you if you own them. And if you can witness her being audacious, confident, just let me know by nodding your head. I want you to now fast forward into the future. And I want you to imagine yourself passing your present and seeing yourself 5 years in the future. Seeing yourself as you want yourself to be. Whatever represents success, growth, development, see that version of you. See yourself wearing the clothes that you want, the jewelry you want, working in the industry you want, doing what you want. And see that as a natural consequence through the ripples of time where self-belief was there from the very beginning. Confidence was there early on. Drive, determination, but also compassion was there throughout. And see where it's taken you. This is a compelling, inspiring, aspirational vision of your future. And just trust. Trust that there will be people trying to prevent this reality from happening. Trying to knock your confidence with stinging words. Playing on your insecurities by shining that sparkly bit of jewelry. And yet it won't stop you. I want you to imagine that any negativity and criticism from this point onwards now puts fuel on the flames. It simply makes you even more determined, even more passionate, even more focused. Take those resources from the future self and feel like you have them already. And then I want you to imagine it's just a few days' time and you're meeting someone. You're meeting someone that represents everything that you felt that you never had. Only this time, you feel completely secure in your own skin. If someone makes a negative comment, a criticism, it bounces off like the fly off a windshield. It doesn't affect your emotions one bit. I want you to get a sense that your confidence in your own skin will bother a few people in exactly the right way. Imagine having that meeting and nothing this person can say or do bothers you in the slightest. You're just as capable, just as confident. And no amount of shiny things makes them any more important. I want you to get a sense that your inner confidence, your inner self-belief will accelerate your journey towards the future you've already had a glimpse of. And in doing so, gives you a sense of certainty that has come from a challenging life. That indeed, the strongest trees have indeed endured the fiercest storms. Which is why you don't care about the weather, because your strength is within. start to leave this world of imagination, knowing that all of this is just thoughts within thoughts, ideas within ideas, dreams within dreams, and return to the present, feeling like you're in your own body right now. Very soon I will count from 1 to 10 to awaken you, but first, take a deep breath in through your nose and out through your nose. Wiggle your fingers, wiggle your toes, get a sense that you're in your own physical body right now. Because when I count from 1 to 10, all parts will return firmly to the present. But you will have unlocked powerful resources. The seeds were sown in your childhood and have grown into convictions, empowering beliefs that are now unbreakable in the present. Starting to count to awaken you. 1, 2, 3, waking up. 4, 5, 6, more alert. 7, 8, open your eyes, open your eyes. 9, 10, wide awake, wide awake, wide awake.
Thank you for listening to The Hypnotist with Adam Cox, the show that gives you inside access to cutting-edge hypnosis with real clients facing genuine issues. To automatically receive the latest episodes, please subscribe. If you'd like to support the show, please share this episode with just one friend you think it could help. And if this episode helped you, please leave us a 5-star review.